My name is Kurt Pinter. I'm from University of Natural Resources and Life Sciences in Vienna, Austria, Institute of Hydrobiology and Aquatic Ecosystem Management. And I was invited by the Center of Environment in Banja Luka to come here and make an assessment of the fish population, especially of the Danube salmon. We just did a roughly 2 kilometers of snorkeling survey downstream, going in the water to search for fish, to assess the populations, to assess the species diversity, and to get an overall impression of the river and the status of the river. Regarding the river itself, first of all, the structural diversity is very nice. It's a beautiful river. It has good habitat diversity and a high structural diversity, which is very important for fish species and also for the fish abundance, so for the occurrence of fish. From the snorkeling, I can say we didn't see many fish, just a few. Like 2 species. The first one was tumulus, the grayling. The second one is brown trout. But we only saw very few. So we highly recommend to do further investigations, also to use other methods to get a better impression. In general, this is a very good river, very good habitat for the Danube salmon. It can find all the different habitats it needs throughout its life cycle. So it's for a Danube salmon, but also for other fish species. It's important that they have very different habitat types throughout the life cycle to fulfill all the needs of the life cycle, and this is very good here. Yeah? So we have very deep sections, slow flowing or even stagnant water. Then we have shallower second with shallower stretches with higher current, higher flow, and it also seems to be a dynamic river. So there's a turnover of the sediment, and it seems to be good from the first impression. Yeah? It depends. There are several impacts hydropower plants can have. First, there are potential migration barriers, or they negatively influence the migration of the species on the individuals. And migration is a very important issue for fish, so that they can reach the nursery habitats and the habitats they need throughout the life cycle. Then it depends on what kind of hydropower plants we are talking about. If we do have residual flow stretches, then this means a loss of habitat for the individuals in those sections where the water is taken out of the river. Then, of course, hydropeaking is a very big problem, also can be a very big problem for fish populations, or also including the Danube salmon. As the juvenile fish, like the fish larvae, might suffocate at the shorelines, like they are stranding at the shorelines when the water level is going down again. And further impacts, of course, occur. It always depends a little bit on the hydropower usage and the hydropower plant, of course. And impoundment is always a loss of habitat, of course. So different issues. A very important aspect also is that's not only the Danube salmon which is influenced, it's also influencing all the other fish species, and the other fish species are of course of relevance as Danube salmon is feeding on them. So it can mean that the food is disappearing for the Danube salmon. If the other fish stocks decrease or go down, it also means for the Danube salmon as a top predator in the ecosystem that he's leaking the resources he needs, the food resources he needs. One example would be the grayling. So this is also a typical grayling river, Tumulus river, and grayling is one of the main food sources for Danube salmons. And when the grayling stocks decline, then there is a gap in the nutrition for the Danube salmon. Fishing in general is how should I say, fishermen are important stakeholders at the rivers. There's a big industry behind fishing, no matter if it is fly fishing or other fishing, and it's a valuable cultural practice, and it's important to have rivers which sustain vital fish stocks in order to have fisheries.